halfway done with the Racecraft Outlaws Sprint Car Series calendar, and the fight for the championship has turned over a brand new leaf, with the leader 2 points above second place now out of tonight's proceedings. We are going to find out who will be our brand new points leader after tonight's race at Cedar Lake Speedway. Welcome everybody tuning in live on Racecraft TV. We're happy that all of you are spending your Tuesday evening with us here as we get ready for racing in the Racecraft Outlaws Sprint Car Series. We're alongside Terry Radford. I'm your host Joshua Lee. And Terry, last weekend we got back to our short tracks. We got back to the very quick 410s that really breathed a little bit of new life into this series once we kind of got away from the quarter mile or the 3/4 mile tracks. We went to a quarter mile track. Now we're at a track just a little bit more than a quarter mile, and it made the racing very, very interesting and very, very quick as well, which is what we're going to see tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the difference of racetracks, and it varies across the board. I mean, obviously you have a smaller racetrack that provides, so it allows you to go 3 wide, but it really doesn't give you a whole lot of room for error. And I-55 Speedway proved that last week when we saw that massive pile up. Here at Cedar Lake, you have a little bit more racing area. Knoxville next week, you should see a little bit more of that spread racing that we'll see. But I mean, low turnout so far here tonight. So Cedar Lake, new points leader walking out of here with it, and you don't want to go to Knoxville, Iowa and find yourself in a hole.
Yeah, speaking of those points, here's where they currently look. Now, Josh Edmondson is on the track for qualifying right now, so he's expected to take that points lead even off of qualifying, as Aiden Forster will not be making an appearance tonight. Evan McFarland is here. He's put down a lap, so he'll be able to gain a good amount of points on Aiden Forster, who's been the dominating force in this campaign. Matthew Lind as well from 4th. He's going to be able to get some points, and it looks like Adam Alderton, the 5th driver within that group, and Dylan Baldwin here as well from 6th. He'll be able to catch up to Sean Winkler, who doesn't look like he's on the track to take a time in qualifying. But other than that, we're really looking to Adam Alderton to see how many points he can put on the board. And we go racing at a track that has now become really synonymous with World of Outlaws racing on iRacing. And we zoom in here courtesy of our friends over at Google Earth to the Cedar Lake Speedway, and it is short. You can see the pit entry right off of turn number 1 and the pit exit right off of turn 4. You get onto this racetrack, Terry, and you're already full throttle heading into turns 3 and 4. And even in the 360s, even in the 305s, this place is quick, and in these 410s it's especially a challenge.
I like how this track has uniqueness to it. You think of NASCAR, where my background mostly is. You look at Darlington, and you think that this kind of looks like this on dirt. Your 3 and 4, a little bit more banked, a little wider, has a little bit of a different shape to it, and then you go down to 1 and 2, and it's more narrow. You really don't have that room for error. You have to be very precise in that corner. It just makes you think out there that some of these dirt tracks don't necessarily get the love. But yeah, I see this thing on iRacing all the time. I've turned a couple laps, and man, it assures me that I suck.
This track has also been a staple of the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Championship and the Late Model Championship for so many years, and I can attest to the not being good at this track, Terry, because I can really only drive the 360s at this track. 410s is a very bad idea, but once I get the 360s out here, it's a little bit easier, but I definitely would not chance taking a 410 sprint car. But we've got 5 drivers who are ready to do so out here on this course, and here's how they'll line up for our first and only heat race of the evening. It's Josh Edmondson, now new points leader after qualifying, with guaranteed points for anybody that lays down a qualifying lap. He'll start on the pole with Adam Alderton to his outside in 2nd, only making his 2nd appearance here in the Racecraft Outlaw Sprint Car Series. How about Evan McFarland to the inside of row 2, Dylan Baldwin to his outside. McFarland been very, very quick this season, looking to continue that with Dylan Baldwin, a driver who has equally been fast, maybe not the results he's looking for, but with less drivers in the proceedings tonight, has a great opportunity at a good amount of points. Matthew Lind did not get a time in qualifying. He did take to the track to put down a lap time, but with 2 hits to the outside wall, 2 incident points somewhere on this course, he ends up not getting a full lap in and will start 5th. And then Sean Winkler was in the session for practice. He had to dip out about halfway through that hour-long practice these drivers had, and now that leaves us with only 5 drivers who are getting ready to take the green flag tonight with an already fairly worn track. No track reset with the lower turnout tonight. Officials deciding that that we would not have the traditional track reset, and to also see how these drivers are going to react to a little bit of a worn track, which here at Cedar Lake, Terry, we're not talking too much about running that outside cushion. Yes, it's a line, but we don't see it used a whole terribly lot like we did at Eldora, like we're gonna see at Knoxville. This really is a bottom lane track, and that bottom lane does have a little bit of gloss over to it too, so we're gonna see what happens when these drivers take the track. And with only 5 drivers, we're not gonna see too much of a changeover in the track. We're not gonna see too much more rubber get laid down, with a little bit more added rubber than normal heading into the only heat race of the night. We'll see how these drivers are gonna react to it, because it's gonna make it a lot more challenging to drive.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. I mean, it makes me happier that I'm sitting here in my comfy chair with my pajamas on and feet propped up on the desk, and not out here trying to turn laps around this place with some of the most skilled drivers on the dirt side. I mean, there's not many of these guys that you can go out there, and we talked about it with Josh Edmondson. You put that guy on, I think you put a dirt bike out here with like an MX-5 or something, and I think he'd be just fine when it comes to turning on these things. But 410s here at Cedar Lake is going to be fantastic. I think that pace truck is, goodness, he's flying. Hey, green's out.
Flies off the racetrack into the pit lane, and we are underway for the only heat race of the night. And how about that? New points leader Josh Edmondson out to the lead, but how about Adam Alderton? What a move to the outside line. Where did he come from second? He looks for the race lead, using the middle line to his advantage, side by side for the lead in the 3. Now Edmondson slides it in. Alderton goes for the crossover. Great racing at the start here between 2 drivers that we've seen fight in Rallycross, now fighting in the 410s. And how about Alderton to the race lead?
Yeah, but it didn't take for long, because Edmondson gets up here, gets a run on the bottom, gets a good good arc through the corner, gets a really good launch off. And this is 2 drivers with very unique skill sets when it comes to dirt. One's able to go up here and sling that outside. One's trying to cross him up. He got checked up there, Edmondson did, and they both get it straight. They're able to hold on to it, as Lynn had some issues back there behind them. But, man, this battle up front, this is going to go on for the entire heat and the main that we got here this afternoon.
Side by side still for the race lead as we go on to halfway done with this race, this time by. Look at Alderton trying to use that outside line, and look who's following him. That's Evan McFarland, who's trying to make something happen, and we're on board with him as he really struggles now down on the inside line as that side-by-side battle for first continues on, with Edmondson on the inside, Alderton on the outside, and really seeing, Terry, which lanes are going to be useful. And I'd argue both lanes are pretty much equal right now. Edmondson's using that inside line beautifully, but Alderton's able to stay in the gas on the outside, use the cushion to his advantage, and is running almost identical lap times as well to Edmondson on the inside.
Yeah, I mean, he's slinging that outside. 27's doing a really good job sitting up there, setting himself off the exit, getting inches from that wall. Not setting himself up for if he makes a mistake, but right there coming to the white flag, he got a really good launch, and Edmondson kind of bobbled down there on the bottom.
Going for the heat race win, and it's not going to be enough. And Adam Alderton, second appearance in the Racecraft Outlaws Sprint Car Series, and he wins his first ever heat race. Beautifully done by the number 27. The international-born driver gets the win here in LCQ, or heat race number 1, the only heat race that we will have. And we cross over into the 2-minute warm-up period before we get started with tonight's 35-lap feature. And how about Alderton, Edmondson, the top 2? Great battle between the both of them. I'm excited to see how that continues in the feature, with McFarland, Lind, Baldwin all finishing out the 5 drivers that took the green flag. Sean Winkler not taking the green in that heat race, and will not take the green flag either in our features. But 90 seconds remaining, or actually we'll have a 2-minute warm-up here in about 90 seconds remaining. Terry, that battle between the 2 of those drivers, Edmondson and Alderton, I've seen it before in other forms of motorsport, never in the dirt oval. And I gotta say, that was an exciting one to watch that I think is going to continue into the feature. I mean, you mentioned it. Both of them know each other really well. They just never have gone head-to-head, and something this quick. They've gone head-to-head in Rallycross before, but, I mean, to put it bluntly, those things are still quick, but a lot less quick, and a lot less quick decision-making, really, than these 410s, which you're finishing a lap, especially around Cedar Lake, in the better part of 13 seconds.
Yeah, but right here for Josh Edmondson, you have to look at how you got beat. You got beat on that outside lane, something that not many people care to admit that they got beat up there. I mean, the bottom is the fast lane around here. That's been, predominantly. That's how Josh won the pole. He wrapped that bottom, really made it wide. But you see all these other drivers now, they're starting to realize, oh man, he made a lot of headway up there on that outside. He was able to get a good run off the corner. He was able to carry more speed through all points of each corner. And just put it all on the line. I mean, he was one mistake away from ending his race, but he didn't care. He went out there and won the heat, 10 laps. But 35 laps is going to be a big difference. It's going to be a battle of attrition. And can you run that outside lane consistent without breaking something, without doing something that's going to put you on maybe a tow truck back to the pits?
We've seen before these feature races really take on a life of their own and really bring a lot of unexpected action and a lot of unexpected results in the Racecraft Outlaws Sprint Car Series. What are we going to see tonight? It's time to take a look at that starting grid for tonight's feature as the warm-up concludes and we get ready for 35 laps of action with the 410 sprint cars around iRacing's virtual Cedar Lake Speedway. Alderton and Edmondson will head up the front row. Two incredibly talented drivers going head-to-head here with McFarlane and Lind. Don't count either of them out. They've been equally as quick in these 410 sprint cars. If they get a good start here, I think they have a great opportunity to grab that lead away from Alderton and into turn one with Dylan Baldwin gonna round out the 5 drivers that'll take the green flag here tonight. Sean Winkler unfortunately not able to join us. He joined us in practice and then nothing out of him in qualifying the heat race or now the feature race. But as everybody takes to the grid, we get ready to go rolling off behind the official iRacing pace truck. Terry, in the points, Edmondson already has the points lead with no Forster. Forster loses out on the points from qualifying, which are guaranteed points no matter where you qualify. Everybody gets the same amount of points out of qualifying with the World of Outlaws points format. Going into this feature race now, Edmondson has an opportunity to gain more points on Forster with 7 rounds remaining in the campaign. Yes, still a lot, but and anything is unexpected. No drop weeks as well. Forster can't use this as a drop. Great opportunity for Edmondson to really gain more on that points lead that he's already inherited.
Well, then at I-55 last week, we said the same thing when he went up there and finished second. And Aiden Forster had issues early in that race. Yeah, he gained points in qualifying last week, but he didn't gain the race points, which allowed Josh to close that points battle back in. And I mean, it was an absolute it was a wreck fest last week. We'll call it honest. Or there was only 3 drivers that even finished that thing on the lead lap. So right here for Josh, you already got beat out by the Alderton in the 27. He's got to figure it out here.
Green flag out, 35 laps in the feature. We are underway. And how about Evan McFarlane? He's already looking to open the door for second. He taps into Edmondson. Edmondson goes around and into the wall. Doesn't look like a ton of damage to that 58, but how about a ton of lost time? 2 seconds now behind the main pack with Alderton pulling away in the lead. McFarlane and Lind, 2 teammates trying to battle it out for second place.
Yeah, that's tough already because you talked about him coming into the points. Yeah, he's going to get 5th place points here, but at the end of the day, it's not something you necessarily wanted to put yourself in a hole. I mean, he's starting to catch Baldwin a little bit here, working it back in. I mean, look how quick he's still going. He's clicking that time down. So the time delta's starting to move in the right direction, but that's not how you want to start your race off, especially with the 27 being as fast as he is. And now McFarlane's up here putting pressure on him. He's about a half a tenth back.
Putting pressure on him is correct because take a look at that gap. Only about 4 tenths, which has gone down from about the 8 tenths that it was. And here comes McFarlane to try and battle with Alderton. Remember, in that heat race, how did Alderton win that heat? Well, he ran the outside line. Look at how much it's glossed over now. He's not exactly running right on the cushion, and that has allowed Evan McFarlane, running a little bit further up than him, to go down to the inside, make that move, and new race leader in the 04.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, because McFarlane was actually following Alderton the entire time. So what he learned in boating school was that you have to go up there to that outside. You have to chase that groove all over the walls. There's the slide coming up from the 27. Oh, they make slight contact there. Now we'll see what McFarlane does. He goes down, and that's a pinch. Good little block down there to the bottom. Keeping him sturdy in there. But now you just got to go back to boating school. You just got to ask Mrs. Puff what you're going to do.
Off board of the 27 of Alderton, as you can take a look back at that 04. Now Alderton does the inverse of what he did in that first heat, right? He goes down to the bottom, trying to get a little bit more help in the grip department and trying to pull away again from the 04. But McFarland is holding strong on that outside line. This is the telltale story of sprint car racing, trying to find what line is going to work for you. And McFarland, look at that run he got off of turn 2 there, Terry, right up on the cushion. And what exactly is that cushion? Kind of like a wall of dirt, that all the marbles that build up in asphalt racing on the outside line. Well, think of it pretty much as dirt packing up on the outside that they can hit that right rear tire on and slingshot around the corner. McFarland is doing that to a T right now, and now is pulled away to the tune of 1.5 seconds.
Well, I always tell people that dirt's made for farming. Or paving. It ain't made for racing, but this is some damn good racing. Somebody go up there, and you look at what McFarland did. You talked about him getting up there and riding the cushion. He didn't jump it. He didn't go too far. He stayed right there on the edge of the cushion. Got a 2-second lead. I mean, that's a 2-second gap that he threw on there just within 2 corners. You know, he got into one, hit that cushion, sailed it off in there, and he's flat flying. I mean, it's 2.5 seconds now, and now he's pushing it even harder. He's going all the way up against that wall, trying to gain as much grip as possible. Look at him in the corner. He's riding it, and he's not riding the same line twice. So that takes a lot of skill and a lot of focus to know, hey, I was already here. I don't want to go back here and starting to rubber in. I see it doing this. It takes a lot of driver focus, and that's why maybe we're changing my mind a little bit. That and watching the Chili Bowl, it's start changing my mind about watching dirt race stuff.
I think the off-road world championship also changed your mind a little bit there.
We ain't gonna talk about the off-road world championship stuff because that was a different beast of its own beast. Like that was that type of show where you sit there and watch and you go, well, I'll be damned. Like this has been around for how long? And then you start asking people, and they're like, well, Terry, you're like 2-3 years behind. This thing's been out forever. It's like, man, I've missed a lot. This is fun.
Over halfway done with tonight's proceedings in the feature race right now. 16 laps remaining, and focusing on Dylan Baldwin in the number 67, who has fallen off the pace a little bit. Not sure if he's gotten some damage to that car. He is tapping the wall a little bit, trying to run that cushion on the outside, and here comes race leader Evan McFarland to put him 1 lap down. But back here with him is Josh Edmondson, who I think in that exchange off the opening lap of this race did suffer maybe even just the tiniest bit of wheel damage, which can be detrimental in these 410s, and props to Josh Edmondson for not throwing in the towel. He's making it all the way to the end of these 35 laps, and I think part of that, Terry, is going to be realizing that these points are important. And yes, it's only 1 position worth of points, right? He's only going to get that 1 spot on Baldwin, but if he would have thrown in the towel opening lap, that would have been points lost. That if Edmondson has to miss a race later down the line, or if Forster starts to really come back and be a dominating force again, only missing really tonight's race out of the first 6 rounds of this campaign, then he's going to be in trouble, and these points that were offered up tonight could be detrimental in the championship.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say he's looking for that 1 spot, because he just looks barely up in front of him. Almost at a second, and it was about less than a second there. He's got the 3. So there's 1 more spot to potentially get a top 3 finish. I mean, you see the 3 struggling. He's up on that wall. He can't find the grip in the corner. He's having a hard time mashing the throttle. There's issues going on with that 3 machine as well, and Josh is catching him. Let the leader pass you. You see Josh, he goes down to the bottom, shows the respect. As the leader catches the wall there, but no harm, no foul. He's just doing his thing. But just let him go. Race him a little bit, but focus on that car in front of you. Get that extra little point that you need out here. Get those points and bank them. He understands, racing when it comes to off-road, when it comes to just racing in general. He understands that if he misses a race and he kicks himself in the butt, if he misses one and he loses the championship because he missed a race, well, he had a golden opportunity right here to go out and potentially score as many points as possible. And well, he's doing that. He's still grinding. He's up on that outside, and the 3's really starting to fall off.
Down on the bottom of the racetrack, that's Matthew Lind, who has a little bit of connection issues there, and here comes Edmondson. Now that the 3 has moved off of the inside line, so has Edmondson. Now that the outside line is opened back up after the 04 of Evan McFarlane has made his way around both of them. Adam Alderton, we haven't talked about much of him here in the feature. Of course, heat race winner tonight, and lost the lead early on to Evan McFarlane in the first half of this race as Edmondson runs into more issues, and into the pits he goes. I'm wondering, Terry, if in his setup he might have not allocated enough fuel. This looks like textbook running out of fuel late in a 410 sprint car race, and that's going to push him down to P5.
That looks like something I would do. Just riding out there and running them gas. But back to that 27 for a second, because you know it goes back to a good country music song. He was riding the cushion when the cushion wasn't cool, right? Kick it back a little old school there.
Rounding off of turns 3 and 4 off of that country music reference is Evan McFarlane, who we haven't talked too much about since he got the lead, but how about this feature race win for the 04 of McFarlane? He gets it done at Cedar Lake. Adam Alderton in second, Lind and Baldwin third and fourth, with Josh Edmondson ending up in fifth, and that's Evan McFarlane going full throttle into the pit lane catch fence. Luckily, no virtual people hurt in that one, but that concludes our proceedings tonight, and we'll grab a look at your full race results from the feature, which has Evan McFarlane at the top of the board, Adam Alderton in second, Lind, Baldwin both finishing one lap down, but they finished third and fourth, with Edmondson rounding out the top 5, and Sean Winkler not able to join us tonight. He rounds out the field of drivers that took part in practice, but unfortunately we're not able to take part in the rest of our proceedings tonight. But we're ready to speak with your first and third place finishers at the moment. And it looks like we'll get second place as well with Adam Alderton. But we're going to start with Evan McFarlane in the 04, who grabs the feature race win tonight. Evan, congratulations on the win. I know you've been working pretty much this entire season towards more victories. And tonight in the feature, put on a clinic, getting past Adam Alderton and grabbing that win. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. No, I prepped. Yesterday I ran with some pros. I saw a session up, and I thought I might as well practice in the slick. And I spent my time watching where they're running and how they're running, and I also spent some time practicing. It's kind of unfortunate that not a lot of people could have joined, because I felt really strong and I wanted like a good race. But yeah, I felt really strong. It was an awesome car.
Insanely quick car, I think, on the track. Was that kind of a mixture of the practice that you got in and the setup you had under the car, or was it a little bit more setup? What got that speed out tonight?
Yeah, well, usually I'm not very good at running the bottom, so I was, testing out the top in the warm up, and I found like a grip strip out of 3 and 4, and I rated the cushion and I felt it out, and I noticed I had gained so much speed. And also 1 and 2, I'm really good around Limeland and like Cedar Lake and places like this, like Port Royale, because I'm really able to like run against the wall. So that just made everything good for me, and I was just able to rip.
And moving forward now in the campaign, we go to pretty much the home of sprint car racing in the United States, Knoxville Raceway. Can you make it 2 feature races in a row? Is that practice going to start for you?
Oh yeah, I'm excited for Knoxville. I've been really good there, and it requires you to be really smooth, smart, where to run when the slick comes in, and I feel like I'm really smooth. I just think it's going to be a really good place for me, and hopefully I can win.
Congratulations on your feature race win tonight. Go celebrate with you and the rest of the team. Congratulations.
Yep. Thank you.
That was Evan McFarlane, feature race winner tonight from iRacing's virtual Cedar Lake Speedway. We continue with our interview proceedings, and it looks like we will have Adam Alderton, who's standing by with our Terry Radford.
Adam Alderton, how are you?
I'm alright, thanks. Super tired, but mate, that was something else, that race. All right,
I'm going to ask you rapid fire questions.
All right, let's do this.
This is going to be the greatest interview you've ever done. You ready?
Yep.
Favorite Pop-Tart?
I'm European, mate. I have no idea.
All right, favorite pastry of all time?
Cornish pasty.
Okay. Best magazine to read.
Autosport International Weekly. I don't know.
All right. Do you know who Rosie O'Donnell is?
Not a clue.
Damn. Stole my last question.
This is Is it the most professional thing in the world? But I'm just cracking up with the fact this is an American trying to interview a European driver that he's never interviewed before.
What's your favorite thing to do in Europe?
In Europe?
In the UK, I don't know.
I have no idea. Coming home from school, that's always a good thing.
Okay.
And going into bed.
Do y'all have Mountain Dew over there?
Yeah, somewhat.
How does it taste? Have you ever had it?
Never had it.
It sucks. It's pretty good. I heard it's less sweet over there.
Okay, I'll take that in mind when I try it for the first time.
There you go. All right, let's talk racing for a second. So if we go to Knoxville next week, you had a good run in the heat. I had a country music reference for you. Hopefully you get it. You jumped up there in the cushion. Nobody else would do it. Nobody else would ride that. As the winner called it, the grip strip. Did you feel like you lost something in this feature?
Oh yeah, definitely. I had no grip. I had no idea how Evan was that fast. I'm pretty sure we're on the same setup as well. So he just found someone else. But I'll search all over the place trying to find grip, and I'm like half throttle all the way around, still spinning. So yeah, I don't know. I have no idea how he was so fast. But fair play.
Do you watch dirt racing?
Not really, because it's all this time of night when it's on, and I'm normally sleeping. But I try and watch the American stuff here and there.
What time is it there?
It's 2:30 in the morning.
In the morning, and you're not asleep or yawning?
No, I've got school in 4 hours. We're getting ready for school in 4 hours. So
college or high school?
It'll be high school, I think, over there.
Oh my goodness. Well, bless your heart.
Thank you.
Well,
commitment. But
it's a lot of commitment. Yeah, I appreciate your time. You're a legend in my book.
Thank you.
All right, Adam. Let me kick you out of here. I'll see you next week.
See you soon.
I'll come up with more questions to ask you.
Okie dokie. All right.
Thank you, sir. Josh Lee, that's Adam Alderton.
Might have been the best interview I've ever heard in my life. That was amazing.
You set me up for failure. You didn't even tell me he was from the UK.
I said it. I said international driver before, but
I wasn't listening.
Okay, me and you can argue all night, but I'm not going to leave Matthew Linz waiting for too much longer because he already waited for entirely too long during Adam's interview. So
I'm sorry.
We'll bring you in here, Matt. Third place finish for you. Just talk about the kind of uphill battle for you. We saw you struggling a little bit towards the middle portion of that race, but then newfound speed and Josh Edmondson having to pull off the track there gave you a podium finish.
Yeah, no, I was definitely quite lucky with Josh having a little bit of a there. Track was, I just couldn't find anything. I tried the bottom, I tried the top, I tried the middle. I stuck to the bottom too long, I feel like, and that's where it really killed me. I should have tried it and trusted the top a lot more, but it really sucks how we get the low turnout today.
And moving forward, of course, in the calendar, Knoxville Raceway in 1 week's time. Are you looking forward to that track? And do you think you can get a good finish out of there? Are you going to put in some more practice for that one?
Yeah, 1,000%. That track is it's a really quick one, and you really got to hold the wheel basically as straight as possible, be smooth as possible, and then when it gets slick, most of the time it gets right up to the wall, which definitely gets really tricky, and it's easy to catch the wall and just ruin your race basically.
Well, congratulations on your podium finish tonight. We hope to see you in 1 week's time when we go racing at Knoxville. Once again, congratulations.
Thank you, and I just want to thank the team again. Like last week, we've just been really putting in a lot of laps, and it's really paying off.
Well, thanks for joining us here post-race, Matthew. That's Matthew Lind joining us in the post-race show, the Racecraft Outlaws Sprint Car Series. And Terry, that brings us to the end of tonight's proceedings. But of course, in 1 week's time, it's going to be an exciting one when we go racing from what is honestly known worldwide now as the sprint car capital of the world, Knoxville Raceway. It's closer to the end of the World of Outlaws Car Quest Sprint Car Series season, but what it also is kicking off the second half of our campaign, which with a possible schedule change on the horizon could bring the Finale Raceway of Charlotte up 1 week, push Weedsport back a week, and then 4 tracks that were on the sprint car calendar earlier in the season for the World of Outlaws series that we're going to be racing at the tail end of this. Could see a lot more participation, and what I'm hoping is we see some really good racing at Knoxville.
We always will. I mean, you talk about this being the sprint car capital of the world. It absolutely is, and I almost said an expletive, and I had to stop myself because this is the Mecca Center. I know Eldora is near and dear to me. It was one of the first things I watched when it came to dirt racing, and especially when NASCAR, when the trucks went there. But this racetrack, it's so disrespectful to have the trucks here in NASCAR because they sucked here. This is for sprint cars, and this is for true dirt racing. Get the damn trucks off of it and keep the dirt racing alive, and I'm happy to be calling a race finally from Knoxville next week.
We hope that all of you at home will join us as well from the Knoxville Raceway virtually in the Racecraft Outlaws Sprint Car Series. But that'll do it for tonight's broadcast here on Racecraft TV. And on behalf of our entire team and the entire team at Racecraft Outlaws, for Terry Radford joining me in the booth, my name is Joshua Lee. We thank you for joining us for round number 7 of the Racecraft Outlaws Sprint Car Series. Half the schedule down and half to go on the road to a sprint car champion. We're saying good night from iRacing's virtual Cedar Lake.